Okay, hello. My name is Oluwatofunmi Akindele. I lead the legal compliance and governance team here at Credit Direct, which essentially means I manage legal services, I manage regulatory compliance, and governance and board relations. So here's the thing. I'm sure maybe lawyers are listening may be able to relate. Once you're done with uni, you're done with law school, you've been called to bar, and then you're entering the job market. Your employers will tell you that you're green, you don't know anything, and that you have to learn on the job. And then you would think that, oh no, this is not right. I've done 6 years in school. But then by the time you now start working, you realize that you actually don't even know anything. But then you also have to combine the things that you learned while in school, combine them with practical knowledge. And because of the nature of our job as lawyers, you're not just required to know just the legal thing. You're not called a learned person for just learned person. You are actually a learned person because you're expected to know every aspect of every industry. So people will ask you questions, or you're supposed to provide answers on things that relate to employee matters, on things that relate to insurance, on things that relate to property, on things that relate to oil and gas, on things that relate to family matters, third custody, and things like that. And you are expected to have answers. And I think that was one of the things that helped me when I moved careers. I moved from litigation to aviation, and from aviation to financial services. Now, nobody taught me anything about aviation when I was in school, but then I also had to understand how airplanes work, how how I put it now, the management of contracts regarding lease of airplanes, lease of engines, aircraft maintenance, and things like that. And I had to understand the lingo, because once I'm talking with my internal stakeholders, I'm talking with my external stakeholders, I should be able to understand what they are saying, because it could help me in protecting the interest of the company. Now I'm in Credit Direct, and it's financial services. Yes, it felt like a big leap from aviation to financial services. But then, because I had to continually learn, I had to be dynamic, I had to open myself, I had to understand what financial services entails, and the lingo, the abbreviations, and the entire thematics of the business itself. So as a lawyer generally, you have to be dynamic, open to continuous learning, because being a lawyer means that you are going to be doing on-the-job training every day of your career life. You will not believe this. It doesn't even have to do with things that have to do with book. I would say, from my own personal opinion, the top 2 skills needed for your role are interpersonal skills and networking. Interpersonal skills, you as a lawyer, either you're working in-house or you're working in a law firm, you have to be able to manage your stakeholders, your internal stakeholders, your external stakeholders. I take, for example, you're working in Credit Direct. I always tell myself that I'm a one-stop shop, because I relate with everybody, from people management to sales to products to embedded finance to even executive office. I relate with everybody, because everybody wants something. Everybody has a document that a lawyer needs to review. So you have to be able to manage them. And you also have your external stakeholders. You have people in CDN, you have people in NFIU, you have people that they determine the course of your company's business. And you have to be able to manage them properly. And interpersonal skills are the best, because you really don't want to be that chief of no. You don't want to be that lawyer that they always say, oh, you're always saying no. You don't want to be that compliance officer that is always saying, this cannot fly. It is a no. You have to be that person that encourages the business, because you have to be seen as a collaborator to the business and not an op to the business. And then I would say networking. Nobody knows everything. No man is an island of knowledge. And I would always rely on my seniors, or even my contemporaries in other industries, or even within the same finance industry. I would just have a call. Guy, this. Oh, I've actually had a similar thing in my organization or where I used to work. This is the best way to approach it. You don't need to divulge any confidential information, but because everybody is learning and everybody is using experiences to learn, So I would say those are the top 2 skills. I would say you need a lot of tenacity because you have to read a lot. You different should I say different strokes for different folks. So you have to read what applies in one university may not apply to that university. So you have to be able to put yourself down. And also I would say, should I say humility? You need humility because you would think that you are very, very smart. And then you enter school or you start working and you realize that you don't even know anything at all. And if you're not ready to be humble to learn, you will not go far because your knowledge about things would always change. Law is dynamic in itself and regulations change. When I was in school, what was applicable for the Companies and Allied Matters Act was 1990, I think. And by the time I left school, we had CAMA 2020. And that was like about maybe 6 years after. And I had to learn what applies in the Companies and Allied Matters Act now. So you cannot say, oh, you are going to rest on your past knowledge and continue to use that to work. No. So you have to be humble to learn. You have to be tenacious. You have to be open to learning. Like your mind has to be a sponge to be able to take things in, and you have to be versatile. You have to know a lot about everything. So that's the advice that I'm going to give you for you to be able to call me your learned friend.